All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that's, well, at the very heart of everything we do, our intentions. We try to do good things and we think, hey, that's a good deed. Simple, right? But what if I told you there's a hidden danger that can poison even our very best actions? Okay, so let me just ask you this. Think about it for a second. What if your best deeds, all of them, counted for absolutely nothing? I'm talking about your biggest sacrifices, your most generous moments, your most heartfelt prayers. Imagine they're just gone, wiped clean when it counts the most. That's a scary thought, right? Well, that feeling points us to a really, really critical spiritual trap we all need to understand.
And look, this isn't just some deep philosophical question. It's a very real thing. In the Islamic tradition, it points to something called the shirk of hidden intentions. It sounds a little complicated, but it all boils down to one simple question. Why are you actually doing what you're doing? The specific term for this is Riaa. And this definition you see here, it comes straight from the Prophet Muhammad, and its power is just in its simplicity. Riaa literally comes from the root word to see, and that's exactly what it is. It's when a person, stands up to pray and they make their prayer look extra beautiful. Not for God, but because they know other people are watching them. It's doing good deeds for the wrong audience.
Now this whole Riaa thing, it's not just some vague, fuzzy feeling in your heart. Oh no. It shows up in very real, very specific ways. It can sneak into our actions, into the way we talk, and yeah, even into the clothes we choose to wear. So let's actually break down what this showing off looks like in the real world.
First up, our actions. Picture this. You're in the middle of your prayer, and out of the corner of your eye, you notice someone's watching you. What happens? Maybe, just maybe, you slow down a bit. You hold that bow a little longer. You make the whole thing look a bit more devout. That little tweak, that impulse to perform for someone else instead of just for God, that is Riaa right there in action.
And it doesn't just stop with actions, it totally seeps into our words too. Think about someone giving a sermon, not really to guide people, but just to win the debate. Or someone who recites scripture with a beautiful voice, but deep down they're doing it for the oohs and ahs from the crowd. And here's the sneakiest one of all, even putting yourself down. You know that false humility where you say, oh, I'm nothing special, just so people will jump in and say, oh no, you're amazing. Yep, that can be Riaa too.
And it goes even deeper. It can even be about the clothes on your back. Someone might purposely wear old, rough clothes, not because they're genuinely humble, but because they want everyone around them to see how humble and spiritual they are. The whole point is to project an image, to be seen as this pious person.
So, you might be thinking, okay, but is this really that big of a deal? And the answer is, yes, it's a huge deal. The consequences we're talking about here are incredibly serious. This isn't just a minor personality flaw. This strikes right at the foundation of a person's faith.
Honestly, the stakes couldn't be higher. There are 3 big dangers we need to be aware of. First, this can actually lead to a form of polytheism, which is the gravest sin. Second, it does exactly what we wondered about at the start. It completely wipes out the reward for your good deeds. They just vanish. And third, it can actually be a reason for severe punishment on the day of resurrection.
To really get how serious this is, there's this powerful narration. It describes the very first people who will be judged on the last day. And the first person brought forward is a martyr, someone who literally made the ultimate sacrifice and gave their life. God acknowledges his incredible sacrifice, but then the real intention is revealed. He's told, you have lied. You didn't fight for me. You fought so that people would say, wow, he is so courageous. And then comes the most chilling line of all. And so it was said. Basically, you got exactly what you wanted. You got the praise from people in this world.
Okay, so who's next in line? A scholar, a man who dedicated his entire life to learning and teaching religious knowledge, who recited the Quran beautifully. On the surface, this looks like an incredibly noble life, right?
But then it's the same story. The hidden why is exposed. You have lied. You studied so that people would call you learned. You recited so they would praise your recitation. And just like the martyr, he's told, and so it was said. Your payment was delivered in full right here on earth.
Finally, a third man is brought forward. This one was a man of immense wealth, a philanthropist who was famous far and wide for his generosity. He gave to every good cause you can imagine.
And the verdict is exactly the same. You have lied. You gave all that money so that people would say, he is so generous. And they did. The narration concludes that all 3 of these men, despite their huge public good deeds, were ordered to be cast into the hellfire. It's A shocking outcome.
Wow. Okay, that is incredibly heavy, and it's really sobering to think about. And it's totally natural to feel a little concerned after hearing that. But listen, this isn't meant to make us despair. It's a warning, and with every warning, there comes a solution. So, what is the cure for this disease of the heart?
The cure, believe it or not, is as simple in concept as it is challenging in practice. It all comes down to cultivating pure, unadulterated sincerity in everything we do.
So how do we actually build that sincerity? It's not a switch you can just flip. It's nurtured through a really powerful practice, having a portfolio of good deeds that are a complete secret, known only to you and to God. Maybe it's a secret charity, or a prayer in the middle of the night when no one's awake, or a kindness that no one else saw. These are the acts that train the soul to work for an audience of one.
The early scholars of Islam understood this principle on a really deep level, and their wisdom gives us a practical roadmap for building this inner sincerity and protecting our deeds from getting corrupted.
Just listen to this statement. Conceal your good deeds more diligently than you conceal your bad deeds. Wow. Think about that for a second. We're naturally programmed to hide our faults and show off our virtues, right? Abu Hazim says to flip that completely on its head. He's telling us to guard our good deeds with even more secrecy, protecting them from the praise of people, which can spoil them.
And here's a brilliant example of the result. The famous scholar Ibn al-Mubarak was commenting on the immense respect people had for another great scholar, Malik ibn Anas. He said it wasn't because of some excessive amount of public worship. No, he said it was because of his sarira, his secret inner state, his hidden good deeds. True elevation comes from what is hidden, not what is shown.
And I love this breakdown from Ibn al-Qayyim. He gives us this incredibly clear equation. Hidden sins, the things you do in secret that you know are wrong, they will lead setbacks in your life. But secret worship, the good you do that nobody knows about, that becomes the very foundation of your steadfastness, keeping you firm through every single challenge.
And this final thought is just so reassuring. When you perform a deed known only to God, you've placed it in the trust of the one who never loses anything and never forgets. It's like putting your good deeds in the safest vault in the universe. You don't have to fear them being wasted or unacknowledged.
And so that brings us to the end, and I want to leave you with a question. This isn't for me to answer, it's for you. After all of this, what is one good deed, no matter how small, that you can make a secret just between you and God? Because that right there might just be the most valuable action you ever take.